Architectural patterns are the patterns usually implemented inside software frameworks. They solve common problems found across most applications, avoiding code duplication by creating a shared layer for broader concerns. The front controller pattern is one of the most common architectural patterns in web applications. A single controller handles all incoming requests. It loads common libraries, data access, session management, and then routes to the specific controller for each request. This is a very common practice because the alternative, having several entry points for different actions, would substantially increase in duplicate code. The front controller reduces repeated code, increases security, it's easier to seal a single entry point than multiple, and gives you a central place to apply performance methods. The MVC pattern model, view, controller, divides an application component into three parts. The model is your data structure or business logic. The view is the visual representation, the user interface. The controller manipulates the model and updates the view. The main purpose is to clearly separate what the user sees from the programming logic. The active record pattern provides an abstraction layer for accessing relational databases. A table maps to a class, and row instances map to object instances. This makes database access very convenient, but the abstraction layer can decrease performance substantially and increase memory leaks in data-intensive applications. The tight coupling between the data object and the database also makes testing harder. A real database is needed for proper tests. The service locator pattern abstracts access to services through a central registry. Services register themselves, and other services locate them through the locator. This enables zero downtime deployments. You can unregister a service and register a new improved version. The trade-off: the service locator can become a single point of failure, and decoupled services become black boxes that are harder to debug. Creational patterns are the patterns developers use when creating new data or objects. These patterns give your application the flexibility to choose when to instantiate new objects or reuse current ones. The factory method pattern abstracts the application from specific classes. A method is called, a new or reused object is returned, and the creation logic is handled by a subclass. This is specifically useful when the component creating the object might not have all the necessary information, like database configuration. It's also used when the code to create an object is too complex and would need to be duplicated in many places. The lazy initialization pattern delays the creation of an object or the calculation of a complex expression until it's actually needed. This is also called lazy loading. You typically see it when a factory function saves an instance after calling it, so subsequent calls return the cached instance rather than creating a new one. This is another way of implementing a singleton. The singleton pattern is used when a single object instance is required or desired for your application to work efficiently. The most important use case in Node.js is connection pooling, when you want all modules to use the same database connection pool instead of creating new connections for every request. Creating a database connection is expensive, connecting, authenticating. Keeping a few connections alive dramatically reduces initialization time. The builder pattern creates a class responsible for creating new instances of other classes. It is more flexible than the factory pattern but also more complex. Most developers start with the factory pattern and evolve toward builder when the complexity of initialization grows, for example, when building complex database queries with many combinations of parameters. The object pool pattern keeps a set of objects ready for use rather than creating and destroying them on demand. This is critical for operations with significant initialization time, database connections being the prime example.